What's up, guys? This is Ryan here from the Today's Media channel, here to bring you guys another video. And today's topic is, why is America not having or creating a lot of new families? But before I go into that, today is November 14th, 2024, and it's cold outside. If you can probably see my breath, it's about 38 degrees, 9:20 p.m. And yeah, we rocking and rolling today. But back into today's topic, why is America not creating a lot of new families? And basically, it boils down to having families have become extremely inconvenient. To start with, the economy has not been great the last 4 years. I'm pretty sure most people have noticed that for themselves. I know in my personal life, things have gotten more expensive, and just overall, the world isn't as economically feasible as it used to be. And I'm a pretty young guy, so if it's economically unfeasible for me, I'm pretty sure it's economically unfeasible for many other young people. And I consider myself fortunate. I'm healthy, I'm somewhat young, I have the ability to work 60 to 80 hours a week. But if you're working 60 to 80 hours a week and two people need to do that to sustain a household, I'm just making sure I don't get hit by a car here. How feasible is that for the average American? So, why is America not creating new families, or not as many as it used to be? Well, we already talked about that. It's not economically feasible. Second thing is, it's not socially feasible. A lot of people today live very individualistic lifestyles. And when I say individualistic, everything is about themselves. They want their own apartment, they have to get their own car, they have to go traveling on their own, they want to go shopping on their own, they want to experience things on their own. And of course, they're going to do things with friends. But for you to want to raise a family, you're going to have that group mentality. And not a lot of people have that anymore. Which I'm not saying that is right or wrong. We live in such a, blessed society, and such as we have the best technology we've ever had. We have the best access to medicine we've ever had. We have the best access to um, stable housing and even stable governments. If you think about it, the world has not been as stable as it is right now. And of course, there's wars going on overseas with Ukraine and Russia, and things going on with China. But historically, the world has not been as stable as it is right now. And that's actually going to bring me to my next point here, is that the world is too stable. When there's not many looming dangers all around you, you get to a sense of complacency. And complacency as in, well, there's no rush to really have children today. What are most people rushing for? Before, the life expectancy was about, I would say, 20 to 40 years, if you're lucky, if you didn't die as a child. And now, people are easily living into their 60s, easily living into their 70s, and even easily living into their 80s and 90s. And what that has created is a no rush mentality. Well, I can have kids when I'm 30. I can have kids when I'm 40. Shoot. Some people are even insane enough to say they can have kids into their early 50s. And that's for men and women. Of course, there is a biological age where there's an optimality for when women can have children. That's going to be from, 18 to 28, 18 to 24, 18 to 32, whatever range you want to call that. And of course, women can have children far past that, into their 30s and 40s. Men can have children damn near into their 80s, sometimes even 90s if they're healthy enough to, get the deed done. But that doesn't take away from the fact that there's no rush to create children, and that's definitely playing a role as in why we are not creating as many families. And if, guys, you see my nose is red, and God, stuff. Hopefully stuff isn't coming out my nose and stuff. It's because it's cold here. It's upstate New York. It's about 40 degrees here. Actually, it's colder than that. It's about 38. And we're probably going to be experiencing snow soon. But if you've liked this video so far, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. And today's word is going to be family. Do you want a family? Do you come from a big family? And if so, how do you like being a part of a big family? And do you plan to have kids in the future if you don't have any? And if you do have kids, how many kids do you have? And is it tough raising a family? All right, back to the subject here. So we talked about that it's economically unfeasible. We talked about that it's socially unfeasible. Let's talk about politically as well. Even though the government gives us tax credits for children, and that's nice and all, but frankly, it's not enough. A lot of people struggle with childcare. A lot of people struggle with schooling. If you live in a suburban area, well, you have to have a car to take your kids to school, or hopefully live in a district that will take your kids to school for you. I know there are a lot of social programs that will subsidize childcare, but you have to fall within a certain income bracket. That's great for poor people having kids, but most logical people don't want to be poor and having kids. So what happens to the middle class? Well, kids becomes unaffordable, because that means one parent will need to stay home. Typically, that is the woman. So that brings down a two-parent household to a one-parent household, as in terms of bringing in income. And then that also rolls down to making it economically unaffordable and then socially inconvenient, because now that childbearing burden falls strictly on the woman, and that creates conflict in the relationship itself. And you can see how all these things multiply, one after another, after another, after another. Some things that the government can do is not only continue with the tax credits, but have some type of socialized childcare. And I'm not saying that, that childcare needs to be solely subsidized by the people who pay taxes that don't have children. It's that it should be a system that's paid for by people who do choose to have children. So what I'm saying is, if you have a child in America, you pay into a special tax that then subsidizes childcare for all the other people who have children. And, it's kind of like insurance. Everyone reduces the risk by paying into it. And the people who are more risky kind of subsidize the people who people who aren't as risky or don't have as many children would subsidize the system for the people who do have a lot. That's just one solution. I'm not claiming to have all the answers. I'm just trying to give some perspective here, guys, of how America can have more families. And what is the effect of America not having as many children as it needs? Well, one is immigration. When your country cannot produce as many children or as many families that is needed to procure a nation just towards success, then that then leads to mass immigration, as we've already seen in America with the Mexican border. And the terrible thing about immigration is that it does take away, somewhat low-paying jobs from natural-born citizens. And it does somewhat increase crime. Even though most immigrants are good people, we've already seen in New York that we have immigrants who aren't. Some who aren't. And they take away from some of the social programs that could be going to natural-born citizens. And you can see how one thing leads to another and leads to another. So we should encourage people to have families and have families young. They're not too young, of course. I would say anywhere between 22 and 28 for couples starting families is a good age, because it not only allows people to, not in the sense to grow up with their children, but get to experience the best of their lives with their children's lives. As you reach 30s and 40s, your child's going to be in middle school, and then as you reach your early 40s, you're going to be at the end of high school, and then college, you'll be getting towards your 50s. You're still going to be a healthy adult, hopefully, for the most part, and be able to experience those years with your children. When people have children at, late 30s and into their early 40s, well, that has an effect as well, because now your child is going to be, well, when they turn 20, you're going to be in your early 60s. And of course, it's more than feasible for you to be healthy in your early 60s, but that's when health problems do start to occur. And that causes, you might not be able to see your children grow up, is what I'm saying. And you might not see them be able to have grandchildren. Next thing I would go into is the social aspect. People don't want to have kids. Even if they could afford them, they're afraid that it's going to affect how they live. If they can go on vacation, if they can travel all over the world, if they can spend time with their friends. Because sometimes when people have children, their friends don't want to hang out with them no more if they don't also have children. That forces you to get into a friend group where you're only friends with other people who have children, which, like I said, it's not a bad thing, but it plays into that social aspect. Let's take another moment, guys. If you're liking this video and you're still here, hopefully you still are, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any thoughts for me and what I'm bringing up, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you agree, please comment below. If you ask me personally, I think families are the foundation of America. And when we don't have strong families, a nation slowly crumbles, slowly dies, because we don't have the next generation. Let me even get started about Social Security. Social Security, to be honest, one big Ponzi scheme. The young people at the bottom need to pay for the old people at the top. And guess what happens when we have more old people than young people? Well, the old people are getting heavily taxed, and all that money is being zapped away from their futures and given to the old, which is fine. That's what Social Security is. But what happens as those young people slowly become old people, there's no young people to replace them and to pay into that Social Security system. And what you get is, well, just like any Ponzi scheme, the bottom falls out and the people in the middle get stuck holding the bag. And I'm not saying that people should have children just for the sake of supplying Social Security. What I'm saying is a lot of people look forward to and are paying into a system that will eventually collapse. And at some point, the government will have to come up with a solution of what is going to happen with Social Security, whether people are going to have to take a reduced payout or they're going to increase the age that you can start collecting Social Security. You've already seen that in France. And, well, let's just say the people of France was not happy. They rioted. They petitioned their government. They goddamn tore almost the whole government down. And that will happen in America as well. People don't want to wait to collect Social Security until they're 80, until they're 75. I believe the Social Security collection age starts at 66, 67, 65. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And I'm pretty sure that will start going up into 70, 71, 72, 73. And where does it end? The government is hoping that you die before you start to collect. And all that money that was paid into the system, well, maybe it will go to a loved one, or maybe it'll go to someone else in your family. Who knows? But it won't go to you, which sucks because you paid into that system your whole life. So what's the point of this video? The point is the government needs to support people having children. Socially, it needs to be more acceptable and more commendable. I think people who have children are extremely commendable, especially when they have it in the structure of a family. And when I say in the structure of a family, I'm talking about the normal family setting. Man, woman, child, 2 children, 3 children, in a family dynamic. And I know there's all sorts of family dynamics. You got man with a man, woman with a woman, and that's all great. But we need to normalize the standard social setting. Man, husband, wife, and the children. And like I said, this will fall mostly on the government at some point, but we should also encourage each other. Now, if you ask me, do I want children? Ironically, I'm going to tell you, not yet. Maybe one day. And that's the problem. For the same reasons that I mentioned before. Socially, economically, and politically not attractive. They need to convince young people like me. Why should we have children? I mean, having children is a natural thing. You shouldn't have to convince people. But in a world with so many different options and so many different opportunities, people really give up a lot to produce the next generation of America. And the government should realize that and help the people out. All right, guys, it's cold out here. It's about 9:45 p.m. About to go to the gym. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I appreciate you guys listening. It really, really helps. I really appreciate it. I love making these videos. Got the new light, got the new mic. Been rocking and rolling. All right, guys. Have a good one. Till next time.